we cannot do that with pure Kubernetes manifest. Application running and customized with Kustomize. YAML, 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 YAML. Go, 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 go. I'm starting to like it more. Assuming that you are already using Kubernetes, you almost certainly wrote a bunch of YAML files, you're applying them with kubectl apply or running similar commands. You know how that works. Let's assume that that's the case. And if you do, you almost certainly discover that you cannot manage your system based only on Kubernetes YAML files. The problem is that if you use only Kubernetes YAML files, you must create a huge number of copies of the same things because you have variations. Whatever you're deploying to, let's say, staging is not exactly the same as in production. And if you're using third-party software, you're almost certainly going to customize how that software behaves. For example, you might have ingress host being different in one environment compared to the other, or to begin with, to have ingress host because it is not defined as a base manifest or set of manifests in the third-party application. Similarly, you might have a different number of replicas of a deployment in, let's say, staging than production, or you might want to add horizontal pod autoscaler in one environment, but not in another because it's small, and so on and so forth. The list can go on. The point here is that you will almost certainly have some variations between environments, and your software will not run in exactly the same way as it is designed by some third-party vendor. So you need to start applying changes, and I will assume that you don't want to repeat yourself. You want to apply the DRY, don't repeat yourself logic, right? Otherwise, you will end up with copying and pasting files over and over again and not being able to manage them effectively. So we need a way to customize, to introduce variations between different environments and from the base third-party software manifest to whatever you're doing and so on and so forth. So we need a way to apply variations between different environments and also to customize how third-party applications behave when running in our system. As I said before, we cannot do that with pure Kubernetes manifests. Or we can, but then we need to make infinite number of copies, and that's a nonsense, that's madness. We're not going to do that. So how can we apply Kubernetes manifests, but also be able to customize them, to template them, or to do whatever is appropriate way to introduce variations between environments? So Helm solved the problem that I'm describing by introducing templates. But we are not going to use Helm. We are not going to use templates because we might not need templates. And actually, in some cases, templates might not be the best choice, or maybe in all cases. Anyways, this is not a comparison now between Helm and Kustomize. If you want me to do that, I definitely can. Just let me know in the comment section. This is about applying Kustomize, which allows us to accomplish similar results as with Helm, but without templates. By going pure YAML, pure Kubernetes definitions, no templates, same results. Or maybe better, but you will have to wait until the end of the video to figure out whether that's better or not. Here's a hint, it is better in some cases. Maybe not all. So what is Kustomize? As I said before, it allows us to customize, to modify Kubernetes YAML definitions to suit our specific needs in specific environments. It works directly with kubectl, so you can use it without installing anything additional. It's part of kubectl. Or you can install Kustomize CLI and use it as a separate binary. In today's demo, I will use a binary, Kustomize binary, but remember, you can do everything without that binary, or almost everything. But today, I'm using the separate Kustomize CLI binary. And the most important thing, the most important takeaway for all this, I will be using only and exclusively YAML, nothing else. I might introduce some JSON there just for the sake of variety, but it's going to be pure Kubernetes YAML or JSON, no templates, nothing special, nothing extra, YAML, 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 YAML. So what did I do before I started recording this video, before I start running the demo? I created a Kubernetes cluster In my case, it is Minikube. You can use any Kubernetes cluster. And I installed Nginx Ingress. You don't have to use Nginx to use Kustomize. That's absolutely not a requirement. But the demo, the manifest that I will be deploying today, use Nginx Ingress. So if you want to follow along, a Kubernetes cluster and Nginx Ingress are the requirements. And I already installed, actually I had it from before, Kustomize CLI. The link to the installation instructions is in the description section, so go and check it out. I'll start by cloning a repository that contains all the manifests, some of those that we will use and some that are not really relevant for this demo. So the first step, clone the repository with the manifests, and then we are going to explore Kustomize, starting from very basic point and then progressing slowly towards something really, really awesome. So git clone https. By the way, the gist with all the commands is in the comment section, so don't try to pause the video and then figure out what I'm typing if you're following along. Just copy and paste from the gist. It's in the description of this video. So what did I say? github.com and then vfarsig, that's my repo, and Argo CD production. Don't be confused that it says Argo CD production. We are not using Argo CD today. We are using something else, but this is just the repo where I happen to have some manifests I want to show you. So cloning the repo, and then I'm going to go inside of that repository. And now let's see what do we have there, right? ls-1, for example. So there are some directories with applications. This is mostly about Argo CD, but again, this is about Kustomize. Just repo contains some Argo CD manifests. We have Argo CD, events, workflows. I have a couple of applications that I recently installed defined here. I'm going to use Argo workflows as a demonstration of application that we might want to apply to our cluster using Kustomize. So let's see what's inside. That's ls-1 Argo workflows. Now inside of that we have base and overlays. For now, imagine that overlays doesn't exist. I will explain what overlays is. For now, just remember the directory structure can be basically whatever we want, but there is certain naming convention that many people apply, and that convention is that base contains the base manifest, the manifests that are always applied, and overlays are different environments or different clusters. We're going to get to overlays later. For now, let's focus on base. So let me go inside of that directory that I showed you, Argo workflows, and let's take a look at what's inside base. Famous directory. And it has most of those things are typical Kubernetes. Not typical, this is all pure Kubernetes, except the only exception is kustomization.yaml. I will explain what kustomization.yaml is in a second, but here we have some config, some ingress, some namespace, RBAC. I will not even show you what's inside of those YAML files because this is not a demonstration of how Kubernetes works. This is just typical Kubernetes YAML files. There's nothing special about them. So let's take a look at what's inside. Base, kustomization.yaml. It's pure YAML, right? From Kubernetes perspective, this is yet another Kubernetes kind, right? So you have deployments and services and what's not. This is kind customization, so it's yet another Kubernetes resource. And what it specified is the list of definitions that we want to apply to our cluster if we choose to apply this specific customization. So we are here referencing namespace YAML and ingress YAML. Those are easy to explain. They are manifests that are in my repository, but the second, third, and fourth are a bit stranger, let's say. So let me fill you in with the background story. This is Argo Workflows application that is fully defined in repositories of Argo itself. So I don't want to replicate all that. I don't want to copy and paste all the definitions of a third-party application, in this case Argo Workflows. So what I'm doing actually, and my goal here, is to use whatever is defined in as official manifests of that application. So those are those three, and then customize it to suit my specific needs. And in this case, on top of the base definitions, the project community-led and maintained manifests, I am using few of my own, which is namespace YAML and ingress YAML. In other words, I'm combining something, manifests stored in github.com, Argo project, Argo repository, and combining them with my own. And this is very important. Kustomize allows us to combine not only manifests in the same repository, but manifests gathered from different repositories. In summary, this is a combination of the manifests defined in Argo Workflows project plus my own, those that I'm using to customize the behavior, the default behavior of Argo Workflows. And then I have patches strategic merge. This is important one. And I'm going to show you what that file is. For now, please note that this will patch an existing resource defined in somewhere in resources. And we're going to see how patching works. And finally, we have a namespace. I want to deploy this in a namespace called Argo. Now let me open this Git repository, Argo repository, and see what's inside. Remember, for example, here we are referencing Argo repository, and then manifests, and then directory base. Let's see how is that defined in the repo itself. So here's my browser. I'm going to open that project, and we're going to go to the directory. What was it? Manifests. Yes, here we are, manifests. And then from Kustomize, we saw that one of the references is to the base, and then there is customization here as well. So each directory referenced by Kustomize must have customization YAML. We can reference a specific file, and then it's just Kubernetes manifest, or a directory, and then in that directory there must be customization YAML that defines what are the resources used from that directory and how are they used. And here you can see that this customization further references other directories with customization YAML and so on and so forth. So you can define and branch into as many directions as you want. Now, the important one here that I want to show you is workflow controller. So let's go there and see what's inside and why is that one important. So workflow controller, inside of that workflow controller, there is customization as always, but the one I'm interested now is this one, workflow controller config map. And I will explain in a second why. So here is the definition. This is just a config map. It's basically an empty config map. And this is where I had a problem. I mean, imaginary problem. It's not a real issue. And that is that I want that config map to have certain entries before I apply to the cluster. So I do not want to use this resource in its default shape. I want to customize it. So remember this config map called workflow controller config map. It will become important in a second. So now if I go back to my customization YAML, you can see that I have this patches strategic merge. This is how I'm customizing that config map that I showed you, the original one. And it's referencing config YAML. So let's take a look at what that config YAML is. So cut, what was it? Base config, right? And this is how it looks like. So here I'm not defining the whole config map, even though actually the original is not bigger than this. What I'm doing is that I'm telling Kustomize, hey, I want you to find a config map that is called workflow controller config map. And then whatever is there, keep it. Keep it as is. I don't want you to replace that config map. This is not the full definition. What I want you to do is to find data and then add config entry with those, in this case, with those values. Or if there is already config, I want you to overwrite it. So we are telling Kustomize, hey, this is the kind of the resource, this is the name, and then patch it with whatever is defined, the rest of this manifest. Whatever is in the rest of this manifest, I want you to apply it as a patch to that resource. Keep things as they are, just patch that specific part. So you can think of Kustomize as a patching mechanism, while Helm would be a templating mechanism. Let's build this customization and see what we're going to get. So Kustomize, and then we want to build, and we just need to specify the directory that contains the top of the tree let's say that we want to build. And this is the base directory that I already explored. It might take a couple of moments. It tends to be slow when it needs to evaluate many different files from different GitHub repositories. But here we are, we got the result, right? This is a combination of all the manifests. Some are remote in some other Git repositories, some are local. But let's take a look. What I'm really interested here is that config map that I'm patching here. Let's find it. Where is it? Where is it? Here we are, right? So this is the config map that is defined in original form inside of Argo project. And this is the patched version of it, right? So it took the config map, it kept whatever is there already. Actually, there wasn't much, but imagine that there was much. And it patched it by adding this entry to the data section, right? I want to use Kubernetes API because by default Argo Workflows doesn't use. And by the way, hey, this is important. I'm showcasing here Argo Workflows. That's not the main subject, but if you would like me to explore Argo Workflows, and I think you should know about it because it's absolutely awesome, let me know in the comment section and I will create a video about Argo Workflows. But this is now, I'm using it only as an example, right? I'm not preaching it in this video. Okay, so we built it, and when we executed Kustomize build base, in this case, or any path, we just get all the manifests with their patches applied and combined and all the stuff prepared for us and output on a screen. Now, Kustomize doesn't have a mechanism to apply that to Kubernetes, and it shouldn't have, because that's not its job. Its job is just to output combined patched version of all the manifests referenced in all the customization YAML files. So it was output on the screen for us and nothing more. What we need to do is pass that output to Kubernetes, and we do that with kubectl. So we're going to do something similar, but pipe now the output, the result, into kubectl apply. So let's do that. So the command is kustomize build base, and then we want to pipe that to kubectl apply, and then file name is dash. Dash means standard input. Instead of the real file or the directory, we're using standard input. In other words, output of Kustomize build. And let's see. And now we are outputting with Kustomize, customized version of our manifests gathered from different places and piping it into Kubernetes with kubectl. And that's about it. We got it. We have application running and customized with Kustomize. But we might want to go further. So let's take a look at how we can improve on what we figured out so far. You might have noticed that one of the manifests, the ones that I defined, not from the base repo, is ingress YAML. So let's double check what did that create. Kubectl -- namespace Argo, that's where it was applied, deployed, get ingresses, right? We got Argo server here that is accessible through acme.com. Now, let's say that this is production setup, and let's say that I don't want to use acme.com in production. Maybe that's okay in staging, maybe that's okay somewhere else. But what I really want to do now is say, hey, for production and production only, I want to have a different host. I don't want to affect anybody else in any other cluster or environment, but for this specific cluster, for this, let's say, production environment, I want to use a different host. How would I do that, right? As I mentioned before, I could now copy and paste that, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use what we call overlays in Kustomize to make slight modifications that are applied only to production. I already defined everything, so we just need to take a look. Let's take a look at what we have in the directory overlays. And then we have over there production directory. Now, what I'm doing right now, I'm making customization that is specific to production without affecting everybody else. Everybody else might be using base or extending base, but this is now customization only for this specific environment. And what we have there is another customization YAML and ingress patch JSON. So you already saw how you can patch using YAML when I patched the config file, and that patch is applied to all the instances, all the places where Argo Workflows is running. But I want to patch ingress only for production. And I will be using JSON instead of YAML mostly to show you that you can use JSON as well. You don't have to be limited with YAML if that's not what you want. So let's take a look at that customization, and that is in overlays, production, and then kustomization.yaml. So what this one is doing is saying you can ignore the workflows. That's not really relevant for this demo, but this very much is. This is telling Kustomize, hey, apply everything that is defined in the base directory, which is sub directory of this one, and then do some additional stuff. So basically, do everything we already did, but a bit more for this specific environment. And that a bit more is to apply a set of patches. I have only one patch here, it could be more patches, and this is now the typical Kubernetes way to patch something. Actually, you will see in the JSON later how it is typical, but there is a path to a file that provides a patch, and then the target. Target is the definition or reference to the resource that we want to patch. And in this case, that's networking, Kubernetes IO, it is version 1, and we want to patch ingress called Argo server. So this target is defining what we want to patch, and this path will be applied to that target. So let's take a look at that ingress patch. What is it? What's inside, right? Ingress patch, right? And this is the standard Kubernetes patch JSON. You could execute this with the kubectl patch command. So we're just telling Kustomize to apply a patch that you can do without Kustomize, but this time we are going to store it in Git and what's not. So we're going to replace whatever is the value of the specification rules, the first host, and use argo workflows.acme.com. So instead of acme.com, which is the host applied every time in all the environments where we want to run argo workflows, for this specific one, for production, we are going to change it to be argo workflows.acme.com. So let's build and apply this new one, this patched or overlay, let's say. So it's customize, build, just as before, but this time the path is not base. We're going to say, hey, build something from overlays, production, customize. No, we don't need to specify actually the file. From overlays, production. And then pipe that to kubectl, apply -- file name -- right? Same as before, but we are now applying an overlay that will extend the base definitions. And it will take a couple of moments. Come on, work faster. Go, 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 go. There we are. You can see that almost everything is the same, right? Most of the things are unchanged. The one that matters is here. Ingress networking, Kubernetes IO, Argo server was configured. So now that we applied this overlay specific to production, it modified ingress. Kubernetes, kubectl sent it to Kubernetes. Kubernetes figured out that it's slightly different and modified it. So let's confirm that that's really the case. Kubectl -- namespace argo, and then we want to get ingresses. And you can see now the host, before it was acme.com, now it's argoworkflows.acme.com. So we applied an overlay, we applied a patch that is specific to production. It will not affect anybody else using base or some other overlay, only those applying the production overlay. Now let's say that we want to upgrade this application. Let's say that we want to change the tag of one of the images used for Argo workflows, maybe upgrade to a newer version or something like that. In other words, let's say that we want to change the tag of one of the images used in one of the containers of this application. How would we do that? So let me see what is the currently used image and the tag specifically for one of the deployments. So kubectl, the namespace is Argo, I think, and I want to get deployment Argo server. I just happen to remember that that's one of the deployments used, and let's output it as YAML, the whole whatever is running currently in the cluster. And what I'm really looking for is what is the image that is currently used. Here we are, right? You can see that currently it is using the latest image. Now let's say that first of all, maybe we want to upgrade. We cannot upgrade easily when it's latest, but we will actually, let's make it like this. We want to, in this demo, want to upgrade it to, or maybe downgrade, nobody knows because it's latest, to a specific tag, and at the same time apply the good idea of using always specific tags. Anyways, I want to change the latest to a specific tag. So think of it as upgrading from something to something else. How would we do that? There are a couple of ways, but in any case, I want to go to overlays production. I want to apply this change only to production and keep everything else, every other place, environment, namespace where the Argo workflows is running intact, right? So I'm going to do that and try to apply yet another patch to change the image. But this time I'm going to, I could do something like this. I could output customization YAML and write my YAML here. I could definitely do that, but I'm not. I'm going to use a shorthand command, and that's customize edit. I want to set image to something else. And the image that I want to change is Argo project and then Argo CLI. If I remember correctly, that's what is currently used. And that image should be the same, Argo project and Argo CLI, but the tag should be v2.12.4. I checked before, this is the latest tag that is currently available at the time of this recording. So I'm going to change whatever is the current tag of the image. I don't care now what it is, but this is the image and I want that image to stay the same, but instead of being latest, which is right now, I want to apply this tag and only to production, remember, without affecting anybody else who might be using those definitions to run Argo workflows in different environments. Now, that's the output of the command. Actually, there's not much to output. So let's take a look at customization YAML. Customization actually. And Kustomize added this definition to the YAML, right? So if you remember before, this didn't exist. So this was added, the images section, and it says, hey, if there is an image called Argo project / Argo CLI, I want you to use this as the new name, which happens to be the same, but I could even change the image itself. In this case, I'm not doing that. And I want to apply this new tag to that image. So that is yet another thing that we can do. We can apply customization to or specific syntax to change the tag or even the full image of something. So now let's go back where we were twice. And let's customize build just as before. Actually, I'm going to repeat the command. Let me find the command. Where was it that I executed before? There is no reason for me to. Here we are, right? Customize build, overlays production, and pipe it to kubectl apply -- file name -- right? I'm executing the same command that I executed before, but this time I have this new entry to customization YAML inside overlays production. And let's see, I'm waiting, come on, it needs to go through all the, this is a bit problematic, it needs to go through all the Git repositories, that tends to be slow, but now it's finished, so we are fine. Now you can see that everything is unchanged. Hopefully, if I didn't make a mistake, there should be a change to the deployment somewhere. I don't know where it is, doesn't really matter. Here we are, configured. I found it, there's the guy. You can see that it reconfigured Argo server. Now let's confirm that it did the right thing, that it really applied the new tag. And we can do that with kubectl, what is it, namespace, Argo, and what did we do? Get deployment, what was it, Argo server, and we want to output as YAML, and then we want to hunt the image. Where is the image defined? Here we are, right? It apply this specific tag. We could do the same thing without images section. We could apply just a patch, but this is a convenient way simply because this is something you will be doing fairly often, right? We change images, we upgrade stuff, we deploy new releases all the time. And we accomplish that with customize, edit, set image. We could do the same thing with set name prefix, namespace, name suffix, and probably something else, and number of replicas. So commonly done operations can be done with customize, edit, set and then image replicas, what's or not. And everything else goes through patches. And that's about it. Now I could create, I have right now overlays production, I could have overlays staging, overlays this, overlays that. I could create as many variations of the base definition of the manifests, which are my version of the manifests, in this case, defined in a GitHub repository of the Argo workflows project, and so on and so forth. So the options are limitless, basically, and really depend on how many environments, how many variations we have compared to the original manifests and compared to different environments that we might be using. So that was Kustomize. It is a very convenient way to customize, to apply patches, to create variations of our Kubernetes manifest that will be deployed in different environments, and also allows us to easily upgrade our releases, but through convenient ways to set image and a few other commands. It's an awesome project, and it took me a while to get used to it because I come from the Helm land where everything is Helm. As time passes and as I'm using more and more Kustomize, I'm starting to like it more. I'm on the verge of saying that it is a better tool than Helm. It's not doing the same thing. There are quite a few differences. The base idea how we should accomplish some objectives is very different, but the end goal from the user perspective is very similar, and that is to provide means to apply different variations of our manifests of our application in different environments, and to easily upgrade our applications and do a few other operations. Now, is it better or worse or the same as Helm? That's a hard question that I'm not going to answer now for a few reasons, because first of all, it depends on the use case. Second, because this is a video about Kustomize, not the comparison. But if you want me to compare it with Helm, just let me know in the comment section. I think that would be an awesome video. What do you think? So let me know in the comment section if you want me to compare it with Helm. For now, try it out, play around with it, and let me know what you think. Hey, stop, don't go yet. Subscribe to the channel, click the like button, hit the bell icon and all that stuff, jazz. Make sure that you get notifications when I publish the next video, and tell the world that you liked it, because you did, right? You did like it, correct? Okay, now that we're on the same page, click the like button, subscribe and all that stuff, and see you next time. See you in the next video.